yards prediction for the fun next week. Because we're already, basically over halfway through the season.
Yeah, we are halfway through the season, which means hello everyone.
Hey! I didn't know if it went live yet.
It like just went live right when you're saying that, but that was great. Just halfway through the season, which crazy thing about this season's already almost over.
Don't tell me that. That makes me feel sad.
I mean, I'm not really sad. I'm kind of ready to get to the next season. My team has been sucky.
That's fair. Mine too.
Yeah, but at least you
Oh
guys can
wait.
blame it through rookie growing pains. My team, there's really no excuse.
I guess that's true. Tyler's the only one here who has a little bit of hope for his team.
I would say
You know,
Matt.
a little bit.
Yeah, you guys are
But you're
6-3.
cautiously optimistic.
I need to see a little bit better victory out of them than the teams they've played. I mean, they played some good teams, but a little bit better victory, and maybe I'll start to believe they can do more than enter the postseason.
Hey, you guys will enter
And
the
then
postseason.
not.
Would you
And then
say
not lose
you're
to
like?
an NFC East team.
Are you saying like your confidence with the team is it like 3% or is it 28%?
Oh boy!
Wow.
Oh my. Never gets old, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it
Great.
probably never
You know,
will.
I know we said we wouldn't talk about it here on the podcast. So we said we
Gosh.
wouldn't talk about anything with the election or anything
McKay's breaking
political.
his
But
own rule right now.
no, I
Right.
just gotta say, I'm not even getting into the specifics, but that joke that Matt made that he tied in with politics, 228-3 with the Falcons last night, that had me rolling on the floor.
That was great.
I was laughing so hard.
As a Falcons fan, I can attest it was funny enough that despite the personal nature, I chuckled.
I mean,
I have good comedic timing.
the thing is, you gotta laugh at your fan base or at your team's failures every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Hey,
Like-
where's the doink noise? Where's the
Ugh.
doink noise?
I got a baby in my arms! Give me a second! Oh, I almost clicked the wrong one like 4 times. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, McKay's gotta laugh at his team just having the same owner for 100 years, and what wasn't your team last purchased for like $5?
Yeah, like way back in the early 1900s. And have you noticed ever since then, with that ownership, we've had the same season play out like Groundhog Day every year? Big hype at the beginning. We're going to the Super Bowl from some delusional fans, and then we absolutely crash and burn.
But to be fair, Tyler, you got 28-3. McKay's got the double doink.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be worse. There could be a sound associated with my most painful memory. Instead, it's just a number.
I mean, we can do a soundbite of
We could get a
touchdown
sound. We
Patriots.
can find a sound.
He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Wait, here's a sound for you, Tyler.
It's like it was just yesterday. All the sounds of my heart.
Yeah.
My
That'll
team
get
just
some dude
disappoints me every year,
choking.
so I got nothing.
Yeah.
Matt's just basically has karma. The bill is coming due now.
It's that meme that has like Tom Brady on the bench. He's doing that awkward wave. That's kind of like how I feel right now. People are like, how are the Patriots doing? Like, hi, we're over here. We're just hanging out.
This hurts.
I
All I
least-
know is pain.
I at least give Matt credit for staying a Patriots fan after Brady left and the Patriots kind of fell apart.
He didn't just become
Like,
a
oh.
Bucks fan.
Oh, well,
No,
I'm a
he didn't.
player. I'm a player fan as well. So like the people I like, I will follow. It's like Alex Smith. I followed him while he played. And I was hyped when he came back the way he did. And then obviously Gronk
Ugh,
and Tom Brady are just hilarious
I've never liked Gronk
in their
that
own
much.
ways. I just love how like he's stupid, but he's also smart at the same time.
I like George
will,
Kittle.
Yeah.
I will never,
like,
I will never forget Brady. Gronk, stand up!
right?
Just like wow.
Yeah.
Why was it though when I was trying to think of a really funny Gronk memory just now, or like a Gronk moment, the only one that came to mind is the reporter asking him about Aaron Hernandez, and he goes, next question. That's all
I
I
think
could
of
think
his
of.
I think of his suplex they threw down in one of the games.
My
Gets
favorite
wrapped
is
up.
when he
game and then
dented
just
the
bodied a
Super Bowl
guy.
trophy.
Oh yeah, he did dent the Super Bowl trophy.
That's right.
I think
Yeah.
of the commercial with him and Brady where it was like the telephone commercial and he had bad reception and he's like, oh, I guess I'm unretired now.
Yeah, I
Right?
remember that one.
That one was good.
Or if you guys watch Gridiron Heights, how they portray Gronk in that thing. It's like,
Yep.
How they portray both Gronk, Brady, and Bill Belichick.
that's true. They're all pretty well done.
Yeah.
Brady was the funny one.
Yeah, no, those are all good stuff. All
Put
good
on his
stuff.
his eye black from the ashes of Jimmy Garoppolo's contract extension.
One day I will throw and catch a sub pass in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Really quickly, guys, before we start going into some of our wows and our woes talk show, I got one more funny story to share with you guys from the week. In one of my classes that I teach, I got a kid in there who is a super delusional Bears fan,
Oh
and
no.
the guy that I've been doing the team teaching with, he's a Cardinals fan. So obviously they just had their matchup against each other this week, and so before this kid even came into class, my team teacher, he gets everything up ready. He just gets a bunch of pictures of Kyler Murray just sitting there on Google Images that was showing on the TV for when students started walking in. And this kid, he walks in, takes one look at us, trying not to laugh, takes one look at the TV, and walks out and doesn't come back to class.
Oh, that's commitment.
Poor
I
kid.
respect it.
So bad.
That's too
He was
funny.
so mad. It was great.
You gotta respect the commitment.
Look at us trying not to laugh. Oh man, too funny. All right, with that, let's go into our wows and our woes. We've got some interesting games that we do need to talk about as far as major significance. A couple of division rivalry games here that have picked up. Matt, one of the ones that you're going to be talking about here has major injury implications. I'm really excited to try and dive into this. So Shane, why don't you kick us off here with Bills versus Dolphins, which honestly that was kind of closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is that it was a lot closer than I thought it would be. I mean, the Bills I feel like have the division on lockdown, and the Dolphins just got Tua back, so I wasn't really expecting too much. But that game honestly surprised me with how close it was.
I definitely didn't pick that to happen. But
No.
I mean, it's a lot like my Cougars. I feel like every game they run up the score in the beginning and then just kind of slowly play the slow time defense, let them slowly catch back up and not take the lead. So
Matt's really hoping that since you're bringing that up with the Utah BYU game this weekend, that the BYU Cougars do the same thing the Falcons do and choke it at the end.
Oh, you mean the Holy War?
Yeah. Let's not do that.
No, they're gonna choke. It's fine.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Plus,
the
it'd
Utah.
just it's a typical Utah thing to ruin an undefeated season and all their playoff hopes and dreams. It'd be great.
I don't know that it would ruin them because I think everyone knows that a rivalry game like this to go anyway.
Well,
I think they. Sorry, go ahead.
They're Pac-12. They're not in the SEC. They're not, East Coast. They're not Alabama. So if they lose, they're going to be like 13th.
Yeah, but they still have the top record in the Big 12.
If they go,
I'm so confident on how rigged the system is, they won't make the playoffs.
It's actually I can kind of
watch.
get a little bit. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but yeah.
I don't know. That's a good point. I do know though that I know some people some Utah fans are a little chapped that ESPN College Game Day decided to go to LSU and Alabama this weekend instead of BYU and Utah.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah.
Simply because they think Utah's going to absolutely fall apart and it's going to be a boring game and BYU's just going to mop the floor with them. That is the actual.
There's no way.
If you know history, except for the last 10 years,
yeah, it's going to be close.
It's always been good.
That game is always close.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. Shane doesn't know how to communicate here because we're talking college football here for a minute.
Yeah.
Rude.
He's
I
in the
understood
third,
most of that.
alright.
I was just dealing with the baby and keeping her entertained.
Yep.
I wanted
Very
to-
convenient considering it was during a conversation about college football.
Yep.
Hey, I mean, I know the least amount of college football out of probably the three of us. I don't have much to chip in other than I think this BYU's down overall record against Utah by like 40 games or something like that.
What is the all-time? What is that? Now I'm curious.
I know it's pretty bad because I know I had a friend playing college football 25.
It is 62 to 35 for
Yeah.
BYU.
What?
Or no, sorry, in favor of Utah.
I was gonna say, I'm
Sorry.
like, I know BYU's behind.
Right. I was like, wait, what?
It's like, there's no way.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, I apologize. I read that wrong. It showed the way it pulled up on my screen. It showed BYU over the 62 and Utah over the 35. And so I read it
seen
that way.
too when I pulled it up.
But
My
Oh,
daughter says no more college football talk and move on.
she said all that, huh?
She said all of that. We started talking about college football and everything, and she started crying.
What
hey,
an
we can't knock on
insightful little
college
girl
football.
she is.
She'll learn to watch football one day.
Hey,
There
you
you
know
go.
what? But speaking of BYU, I'd be happy to let this lead right in to Puka Nakua getting, kicked out of a game.
I
Right?
forgot you got
Bringing it
kicked out.
all the way back.
Well
And you know
done.
what? Frankly, I don't know that I blame him 100%. But it was still stupid. Like, I know you're in a heated moment. I know you just lost a pick. I know obviously because of the turnover, people are immediately going to start pushing and shoving. But you just can't let your anger get to you. And because of that, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. Obviously, they've still got Cup. And freaking, who was it who caught the game-winning touchdown? It was, yeah. So, I mean, they've still got some weapons, but
Yeah.
because of just a moment of weakness, can throw off everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought this was a super fun game. It felt like it could go either way. It felt like both teams, obviously a division rivalry, felt like both teams played well. Obviously, I think the Rams outplayed them a little bit. I think most of us felt like that was going to be the case. The Rams have been looking really good. They've
Yeah.
got a more healthy team than they've had all season. We kind of saw this coming. But
What's interesting to note, though, is Geno Smith is leading the NFL in a lot of quarterback categories right now.
yes. But they can't seem to turn that into points.
No, and that's frustrating because you got players on that team like Kenneth Walker. They should have a really solid defense. The receivers aren't that bad, and I don't know what's going on. It's
You
yeah.
got Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf. I mean, he did get hurt a little bit, but still.
But you got JSN there too. You know what I mean? As another receiver, and Noah Fant, even when he's healthy, he's a good tight end. I mean,
And Tyler Lockett, ever consistent. Oh yeah, JSN went off this past week.
yeah, because he had to. I don't. Yeah, it's interesting. I really thought that we would see a little bit more out of the Seahawks this year. If Shane, if you remember, it was a really wacky way out there in left field pick. I kind of more just wanted to say it just to cause some uproar and some controversy, some confusion, if you will. But when we were predicting at the end of last season who the Super Bowl would be, I said it'd be Chiefs versus Seahawks. Just
Yeah.
to kind of just get a little bit of a laugh there. Obviously, that's not going to be the case here because the Seahawks are just not that good.
And the Chiefs are undefeated.
Or are we going to open up that can of worms? Or should we
Nope,
stay here?
nope, moving on.
Save
moving
that
on.
for later.
Why? I thought it would be a perfect conspiracy theory week.
I'm pretty sure I saw Matt's eyes start twitching. I'm not even looking at him right now. I'm just seeing his eyes start twitching rapidly.
Yep.
Ugh.
Just you wait.
Come join the
And it-
swamp and be part of the Kermit the Frog.
In other fun news, I just want to let you all know the Philadelphia Eagles lead the NFL in time of possession, followed closely by the Carolina Panthers and Minnesota Vikings.
Panthers. Wow, that's wacky.
Isn't that
mean-
weird?
The Eagles make sense, especially when you have someone like freaking Saquon Barkley doing a backwards hurdle on a defender.
I don't want to talk about that.
That was an amazing play.
I will say-
Jane, you have to admit that was
it
so
was
cool.
so good. It was so good. I saw many memes because of it as well. I will say the Panthers one doesn't surprise me too much because they're usually on the field for offense because the other team's offense just scores on their defense about 5 seconds.
That's fair, actually.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, those are interesting stats to keep in mind, for
Yeah.
sure. Hey Matt, I'm gonna take the next one here, but I feel like
Shoot.
ours are kind of similarly aligned here, just because we'll be talking about some quarterback injuries here, because I know the
Yep.
Packers are going on bye, which gives Jordan Love the chance to heal up here, but it did not look good for him in that game against the Detroit Lions here. And that doesn't necessarily bode well for the Packers, who are kind of hoping to, make an upstart, standing there in the NFC North. At this point, the NFC North does squarely belong to the Detroit Lions, and they just picked up, another big addition from the Cleveland Browns as their Aiden Hutchinson insurance on defense. I'm just gonna say it here right now. I'm not going and calling it or anything like that, but we might be seeing our NFC champion here in the Detroit Lions.
And I'm happy with that.
I think it's a strong possibility.
I think surprisingly the only there might be two solid contenders, but they come out the NFC East with the Commanders and the Eagles. Jaden Daniels is. Whew.
That's true. What's interesting to note is the offense for the Commanders has been good, whereas the defense wasn't. But now the defense is starting to figure it out, and that's
Which is weird considering they got rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat last year.
true. But Dan Quinn is their head coach, and he is a defensive genius. He is the reason that the Cowboys' defense was so good last year for fantasy owners, and now it's awful.
Garbage.
Yep.
Oh, well, what happened with Ryan Nielsen having one of the best defenses with the Falcons comes over to Jacksonville, and all of a sudden, we have the worst defense in the league. Ugh, I saw a stat
Well,
where it was like,
who was there when he was there? It was Dan Quinn.
gosh.
Wait, did you guys hear that? Was that Shane crying or was that the baby crying?
A little bit of both.
Who's to say?
I just saw a stat where it was like the Jaguars defense has allowed like 3 times as many as like the second worst team for something, and I'm like, oh, that's real bad.
Yeah.
Let's just say
Anyway.
like the average team gets like 15 gives up like 15 yards on the first drive. The Jaguars are giving up like 50.
Yeah.
It's rough. Anyway, yeah, it's wrapping it up here. Lions looking good. Packers, they got some work to do, but
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how this plays out moving forward here. I'm really liking the way where Detroit is heading right now.
Yeah. The one thing that I like to point out in this game, so I told you last week that Jordan Love was probably just going to have a bad game or they just wouldn't be able to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the efficiency of the Lions. Like, Jared Goff
Sure.
only had 145 yards.
Yeah, he was awful if
Passing.
you want to talk about like freaking fantasy value.
Right. Terrible. But one of the scoring drives, I was looking at it, it took 15 minutes in the second quarter.
Dang.
Off the clock. About 15 minutes combined in the second quarter. That was like their total offense.
Well,
Like,
and
that-
Really?
That's nuts.
he
Like,
was
they
completing
literally
nearly all of
take
his
up.
passes.
Right. But I feel like the Detroit Lions are also playing it smart. Okay, they're getting the win, and then they just secure it, and then I won't say they kind of float the game a little bit, but they just make sure that they can win the game, but then not put any of their important players at risk,
True.
just to keep the score going. They
We
keep
call
you
we call
ahead
that
enough,
pulling a Derrick Rose.
right? So I was impressed with the game, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think the Lions have got it this year.
yeah,
Yeah, I think so too.
which is a sobering thought, honestly, but
Yeah,
not one that we're complaining about.
right. Yep.
Well, that kind of covers that for that one there. Beyond that, though, gentlemen, Matt, let's go here into your pick here because I'm curious to see
Yeah.
what you have to say about this because I've seen there's been a little update since then too that I'd like to
Right.
talk about. So
Yeah, so everyone is aware of the meme or the little clip of Dak Prescott talking about how not great the Cowboys are.
yeah,
That made me giggle. I was like, well, at least you can admit it. That's the first step. And then it looks like, obviously, Dak might be hurt. And then also the possibility of CD Lamb as well. So that's
Right.
kind of big for, these two teams.
here's what we're seeing right now. CD Lamb's injury is actually not very serious. They're saying it's minimal. He should be back here, should be able to play, which is comforting, at least fantasy owners and stuff like that. Dak Prescott, on the other hand, they're saying part of his hamstring is completely off the bone.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
he's out.
Yeah, he is going to be on IR for several weeks.
Yeah. But I do find it funny that he gets, granted, yeah, if he has a legitimate injury, yeah, he does get hurt. But it's just funny that he gets paid and then now he's hurt.
That seems to be what
And
happens.
he's also been playing like crap. And then, CD Lamb, I'm honestly shocked that he didn't try to move before the end of the trade deadline.
Right.
I was shocked. So
I feel like this is a little bit of a precursor here to our For the Fun. I won't go into it too much here, but we want to talk about coaches who are on the hot seat because obviously there was one big notable firing that happened this week. But I'm wondering, could Mike McCarthy go before the end of the season? I think it's entirely probable.
Yeah, if he doesn't, I feel like he's probably going to be gone by the end, like once the season ends. He'll be the first coach gone,
Yeah.
I'd be
Now,
surprised otherwise.
I'll give it to the Falcons there, as far as it was a good game. They played well. They did the stuff that they needed to do to win. Tyler, help me out here because I haven't looked too much into it. How severe is Drake London's injury, though?
It's not very severe. He is supposed to be back, but they said it's going to be day by day as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's good news.
That team, you can technically make it work because Darnell Mooney's not a bad receiver, and then and outside of that, strong running game. If you don't give the ball to Bijan, give it to Tyler Algier.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
They have enough average power weapons that I think they can make just about any game work, especially with their next couple of upcoming games, especially against a team like the Saints.
Yeah. Well, they still have a strong defense too, and there's not a lot of really missing pieces there for the starter and second string. So, I feel like Falcons had a good game. They did what they needed to, and they look good enough.
Good enough is a good way to put it.
But
and I know we could get a little. I don't want to jump into the controversy here because we said we wouldn't talk about this one with because we didn't want to open the can of worms here. But that definitely helps the Falcons seeing the Buccaneers take the loss that they did on Monday Night Football this past week.
For sure.
It's them that much closer to winning their division.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know that in the long run it's going to make a big difference because they just can't seem to win the right games. The Buccaneers, I should preface, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know quite what their issue is other than injury. And I wish I could say it was just injury, but they had a fairly healthy team before a couple weeks ago, and they still couldn't win the right games.
Yeah.
So they seem to be this powerhouse that I don't even want to call it choke because they don't really choke. It's not like they get these leads and then lose them or anything like that. They just can't seem to put drives together in a competitive way that leads to points and to victories. And
I guess
yeah,
I was gonna say, I guess the question is who would you blame for that?
right.
I don't want to blame it on Baker.
Yeah. No, I'll leave it. Like, I can tell you who I would blame.
Todd Bowles?
Heck no. No, we're not going to open that can of worms yet.
Right. I know where you're going now.
I think Baker Mayfield, he played amazing with what he had against the the Chiefs defense,
which is a very good defense this year.
I'm just going to say it got that close and it came down to something that wasn't his fault.
Right.
You know. So, I would give Baker Mayfield way more credit.
Been his entire season.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
that's been his entire season.
I honestly think, with those injuries, if those would not have happened, it probably would have changed the outcome for the NFC South. But with the injuries they've sustained the week before, I just don't think they can get over the hump and kind of get the position over the Falcons. So,
yeah. I would agree. I would like to present one idea, and I apologize for taking way too long on this game, but it's been one I've kind of started to think about a little bit. The running game for the Buccaneers. If they had a high caliber running back, would this be a different team?
Possible, because Rachaad White is definitely not it.
No.
Right. He's decent.
He's a good reliever for the starting dominant running back.
Right. He's like a Tyler Algier. He's a great, he's going to come in, he's going to play well on the couple of plays he does, but he's not starting material. He's not going to lead the team. He's not going to be out there for, 80% of the plays, playing well on 80% of the plays. He needs to be in there 20% of the time, mixing it up every once in a while, surprising the defense.
Right.
Anyway, just food for thought for you as we move on, and don't take forever in a day with this game, but
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but it had a lot of interesting components to it, so I get it. Matt, why don't you kick us off here with the Broncos and Chiefs matchup that we got this week?
You sure want me to waste all the time?
Take it easy.
Maybe we end.
I was like, you might want to end with me because I have a lot to say about this game.
All right, fine. Shane, do you want to kick it off? Or you want me to?
Plus, not to beat the drum too much, but people have been asking me why I haven't said anything that have listened to the podcast the last couple weeks about my conspiracies. So, gotta hit on it at least once.
We're trying not to beat a dead horse. To make a joke at the Broncos. Haha.
Right?
Okay, you go ahead first.
Okay, you got it. All right, so yeah. Steelers and Commanders. Look, I feel like this has the potential to be a potentially good game with the Commanders the way that they have been playing, and the Steelers. I love this Steelers defense. I think it's been really cool to watch here. But what's interesting is one of the things that I think it was TJ Watt who was talking about it right now, because TJ Watt could technically trend towards Defensive Player of the Year again this year, but he's more concerned about winning a playoff game. He does not have a good playoff record.
Right.
And I think it's just chipping away win by win. I think the Steelers do technically have a chance to win this game against the Commanders. I like the Commanders' odds in this, but I also feel like if you are getting some level of consistency out of Russell Wilson here, it could be good. And now they've got another receiver in Mike Williams. He's not necessarily an elite receiver, but he could be really, really good help there, pull some of the double teaming away from George Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
As we just said, he's a good wide receiver too. He'll make some big
Yeah.
plays, and he'll be enough of a threat that I don't think they'll be able to purely just double team Pickens.
He'll be dependable. Like they know they can throw
Yes.
it to him, and he can get whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
They also have the defensive end they just picked up too. Can't remember his name from. Oh, geez, was it the Packers?
Yes, that's Smith, Preston Smith.
Preston Smith, yeah. So that obviously helps TJ a little bit, make his
Yeah.
job slightly easier, having another presence on that line. So
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that defense has continued to upgrade, and
yes,
it's just, I think that defense is for real. It's just can the offense help them sustain?
Yeah.
You know?
and speaking of the offense, who do you think's gonna be starting for Pittsburgh?
I think Justin.
I think it would make more sense to put Justin Fields in than it would. Oh my gosh, Russell
Russell
Wilson.
Wilson?
There we go. My brain just went. "Dirt." but at the same time, Russell Wilson hasn't been playing terrible. But it just
Right.
depends on who do you want in to keep pace with Jaden Daniels.
Right.
So
I think Russell Wilson's played really well.
yeah,
I really well for him.
shockingly well.
It probably makes him feel a little bit better after how things went, in Denver. That okay, we're starting to get some consistency here, and that's probably part of it is Mike Tomlin. You know what I mean? He just knows how to make it happen.
Right.
I don't know. So what are we thinking then? Who do we think is going to get the win on this?
I'm going with Commanders. I feel like they just have too much. Plus, I know they picked up some people too.
They did.
I
can't
will
remember
also
who it
say
is,
the Commanders because I
but-
had to go help with the baby real quick.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Lattimore,
also
that's who they picked
taking
up.
Commanders.
I want to take Commanders here, but I feel like one of us needs to play devil's advocate here. So for that reason, I will take the Steelers. I'm going to say that I'm going to take the Steelers just for how do I put this? Let's say the idea of that there's just a little bit of pressure now starting to come on to Washington. They realize that they're a threat right now, and that in this case, the Steelers' defense is going to prove to be a little too much for Jaden Daniels going down the stretch here. I think T.J. Watt. The biggest thing is Jaden Daniels. He likes to run. In college, he had this trouble. Sometimes he got trucked as a result and had to potentially deal with RG3 level injuries almost.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying by that is if you got T.J. Watt, who in this case I would say is the matchup monster, either between him or Jaden Daniels, what could potentially happen is just that. You know what I mean? T.J. Watt is just making it very difficult out there for
Keep
Jaden
him-
Daniels to attack him.
Keep him moving is what's I predict will happen if TJ Watt has a good game. Daniel's just gonna be running all over, and it'll wear him down. And it'll be like who has more attrition.
Yeah.
The quarterback or the guy chasing him, So, I think it'll be a good game to watch. It's definitely on my radar to watch.
For sure. Okay. Who's next?
I'm happy to go. Let's go Cardinals and Jets.
All right.
I think the Cardinals are in one of those interesting spots where they're just a mid-tier team that chooses to win. Occasionally it chooses not to win for the weirdest of reasons sometimes. And I think every team wants to beat the Jets. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, McKay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, let us not forget, though, that they are leading their division now.
True.
And a
By
wild
some
turn of
miracle.
events.
Right?
Let's
For
see,
now.
5-4, 4-4, 4-4, 4-5.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would be surprised if they continued to lead. They've got the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Seahawks again, the Rams, the 49ers ahead.
Yeah.
And I would be pretty surprised if they hold on to that lead or even come out of this with about the 50-50 record that they do have. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't want to underrate this team because I do think they are good, but I don't think they're great.
Yep.
And so
Sure.
I think they're good enough to beat the Jets, though, unless the Jets are the team that decides to show up. The interesting thing is both of these are high caliber, good, talented teams, but they just can't seem to get their mojo together. Part of the reason I picked this game is because I don't think, much like the political election, I don't think there's really anyone who has a good feel on this one. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be close, whatever ends up happening.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case. You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to submit my pick for this here, and I'm actually going to take the Jets on this. And here's why. I'm going to take the example of at least the last game, and even not even necessarily just the last game that the Cardinals had against the Bears, but also some of the other games that they have had. Kyler Murray has not necessarily had that very good of a game. He's had players around him who have managed to do some good stuff, but he himself hasn't really been all that impressive here. So where I'm going with this is I feel like in this scenario here, what could potentially happen is the Jets defense we know does do well generally, as long as the offense stays on the field long enough that it doesn't make them tired. So what I'm thinking is certainly a possibility here is that Kyler Murray will struggle with this. He is the matchup monster in this case. He plays well, then great. Then I would definitely wager and give this to the Cardinals. But I'm thinking it's going to come down to the Jets will just play better offensively than the Cardinals will.
And I can respect that opinion 100%. The Cardinals have had a fairly easy season. The games they've won have been pretty reasonable, but I think the Jets have actually had a pretty rough, difficult season. I think the only game that has maybe shown some of their true colors is their loss to the Patriots. Sorry, Matt, but I think the rest of their games that they've lost have been decent teams.
Yeah.
But with that said, I'm still going to stick with the Cardinals. I just hope the Cardinals beat them, if nothing else, and where it's close.
Yeah, we love seeing the Jets take an L.
Yeah, I'm on the Cardinals train for two reasons. First one, I just love to see Aaron Rodgers lose.
Yep.
I feel like he's in the driver's seat trying to get people traded and doing whatever he needs to. And I hope they lose just because it just shows that, the quarterback shouldn't be running your team. And then the other reason is that it's no longer double XP for Call of Duty. So I think Murray's going to get some good night's sleep and be able to play really well.
It's the little things.
It's a factor. Like I've seen so many different comparisons, like every time like he's playing, and then like when there's a big event going on in Call of Duty, there's a direct correlation. His performance dips.
I mean, we talked about it last week.
Yeah. So you can't say it's like, oh no, that's not real. It's like, oh no, it's 100% real.
The sad thing is, it is real.
Right.
Yeah. It's not something you necessarily want to be proud of, that's for sure.
Right. No, it shows definite weakness and is obviously a problem. But I think for this matchup, though, I think if Murray can play well and Harrison Jr. plays well, I think it will be a good.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me just ask you all this. Do you like Murray more for the fact that there might be a correlation between his video game habits and his football play, or do you like him less?
I think it makes me feel good. You know what I mean? The fact even someone playing at that high of a level is, like it has a weakness like that he's subjected to, and it's like, even superstars like, I could be totally killing it, you know what I mean? But it's like, oh, if the game's calling, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna take that over homework.
Yeah, I feel like it's not like a weakness for him. Obviously it's a distraction, and it's just the way it is. But I feel like if he utilizes his love for video games a little bit better, and he kind of dips into, which I think most quarterbacks should do. I can't remember what college or university is doing it, but they're integrating like VR with their training that helps them flash, packages or different formations, and they have to decide what it is, and it kind of helps them be in that real time environment. So I think if he took his love for video games and plugged it into that type of stuff to invest more time, I feel like any quarterback, and in his situation, if I was the team, I'd be like, hey, how about we utilize your video games and try to get this in and help you improve,
Sure. Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's an interesting hobby to have.
That was a very interesting question, honestly.
Right?
I like that. Kane, you're up next. Lions and Texans.
Lions versus Texans. I feel like this is gonna be honestly one of the more high-powered games from this week, because let's all be honest, the Lions are on a roll, and the Texans last year we thought were favorites to upset the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl, but that has not happened yet. And honestly, this is what I kind of was wishing the Super Bowl this year would be two teams that have never been to the Super Bowl facing off. So there's still a chance it could happen for a Super Bowl, but this would be a little preview of what my dream Super Bowl matchup would be.
So, yeah, with that said, I don't know. This could be a really, really good matchup, but does anyone else feel like the Texans have been regressing lately?
I would like to point out
100%.
one thing with the Texans. So Nico Collins,
Mhm.
he leads the team in receiving yards, and how long has he been out?
Several weeks. I hate it. I have him in like 3 leagues.
So I feel like the Texans, with all the injuries, plus I think Stephon Diggs is hurt, or he got hurt, and he might not play, but I feel like they just don't have the weapons. And
Don't doubt Tank Dell.
well, when you compare them to the matchup, the Lions, I just don't think they have enough to compete with them. I feel like it might be a good game kind of early, but I feel like the game could run away very fast if the Lions get on a roll.
I don't think the Texans have a prayer in heaven of winning this game. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they managed to stay in the game, but I don't think there's. I mean, I would be blown away if they were to somehow win. And in the NFL, that's what we love about it, right? Is anyone can win. Doesn't matter who you put up. We just watched the Bengals get taken down by the Browns. But or sorry, not the Bengals, the Ravens. But that said, I don't think they, unless without something crazy happening, I think this is an easy win for the Lions.
I'm gonna disagree a little bit.
Okay.
For the main reason is that we're only looking at the offensive side of the ball, where yeah, the Lions have better weapons overall because the Texans have lost a lot of their weapons, but Texans still have Tank Dell, who's a very good receiver. They still got Joe Mixon. They got a good tight end. And here's the crazy thing: the Texans currently have the second best defense in the term of defensive yards average. So all their games with yards allowed, they have the second best, only allowing 281.7 yards a game.
Don't feel like I've been seeing that recently with this team, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. You don't see it, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even with that fact that their defense is good, I just don't think they can compete.
I definitely think the Lions probably will win, but I'm gonna hedge my bet on the underdog with the Texans. And I mean, we downed the Texans last year, and I kind of saw this coming of, hey, Texans are good this year, but there's gonna be a lot more film on CJ Stroud. Gonna have a lot more information on the Texans. People are gonna be watching them a little bit more, and we're starting to see it unfold a little bit.
Yeah. Makes sense. And then sidebar, I'm also excited to see how their battle red uniforms look.
They're pretty good. I will say they are pretty good.
Like I've seen them, obviously, because they put it out at the beginning of the year, but I want to see them actually on TV. They look absolutely crazy from all the pictures. So
I think this will be good, at least especially in that regard. I think
Right.
this will be a fun, intriguing game to watch.
yeah. But I will say the uniforms I liked the most so far this year were the Lions black uniforms.
Those were
Those
sweet.
were
Very
phenomenal.
slick.
I'm sorry, but there's no one that can compete with that right now.
Hey, the Jaguars are
But
wearing
TBD.
white helmets this week. It looks
Yeah.
horrible. I hate it. It's white helmets with black with their alternate black jersey, and I think they're wearing black pants as well.
Yeah.
It just
I
looks
like that.
dumb.
Yeah. Classic though, granted it's biased, but I do like the alternate throwback jersey for the Patriots. I like the
I like the
fit.
throwback. I like the throwback jersey for the Bears too,
It-
so I understand.
Yeah, it looks
Hey, I like the
so
throwback for
good.
the Jaguars with the actual like jaguar on the shoulder. Oof.
Right.
Those were the throwbacks. I feel like has some great uniforms. Although we gotta give credit, the Eagles Kelly Green jerseys.
Yeah, those are nice.
I
They're
will say
cool.
I'm a big fan of the whiteout Bengals jersey.
Yep,
Yeah, that one's good too.
that one's good. Yeah, definitely.
But can anyone compete with the fade to black Falcons red jersey?
Yes, the Lions.
The Lions, yeah. The Lions
The fact that the Lions
I'll
turned
give you
the
that. It
line
still does look pretty
black
cool.
as well.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I don't know. Personally, that fade to black jersey has been one of the coolest I've ever seen. Absolutely love it. Nearly on the level of some of the soccer jerseys we see, which I think soccer easily does the best jerseys. But
McKay, have we ever done a NFL throwback jersey competition?
Oh, we've just done jerseys in general.
Ah, see, we should do a throwback one.
I
That'd
agree.
be fun.
Buccaneers
that in
orange
for the books.
creamsicles. Or alternates even.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man. Forgot about those.
Anyways, I think we're all saying the Lions for this one, right?
Lions.
oh,
100%.
absolutely.
I'll
Yeah.
be different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the Texans. I'm gonna root for the underdog, even though they're division rival.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm rooting for the Lions, their division rival.
I mean, who doesn't like the
Hey.
Lions right now?
It's true. It's true. It's hard to dislike them right now.
Yeah.
I also, if I could just point out just real quick that these Lions blackout jerseys look nearly identical to the blackout BYU jerseys, Matt. And you just said that these were some of the
It's a
best looking
different
jerseys.
Uh-oh.
No, it's a
Uh-oh.
different blue. Trust me. Like my mom
It
read
may
me
be
on
slightly,
this before. It's
but
it's
I'm pulling these
BYU
up side by
blue.
side. I want to see this.
Give me a break.
It is. You're right. BYU's got a little bit darker blue.
It's navy. Get out of here.
No.
Stupid.
I've seen them do their royal blue on their blackout jerseys.
Yeah. No, it's just yeah.
All right, Matt. Let's go into
It-
your matchup.
they
because
have a little bit
we're
more
running
shiny
low on
blue.
time.
All right, we're going straight in, guys. Chiefs and
Buckle
the
up.
Broncos. I think this game, it's one of those that could sneak up on you. Yes, the Broncos are playing terrible-ish, but a lot of people are saying that this could be the game the Chiefs.
I'd be all here for it.
Yes, I would be for it as well, but
Is it because of their defense, or what are people saying?
I think it's a combination that like Bo Nix is getting more comfortable in his role and he is playing better, and then their defense is progressively getting better. So it's like you see this
Until
trend
last week.
well,
It is-
except for last
It
week,
is
obviously. but-
also it is also a division rival, and it is a division rival that is normally expected to underperform. Traditionally, we
Right.
have
That's
the
fair.
last big example I can think of is it wasn't last season, it was 2 seasons ago, when the Eagles had the longest standing undefeated streak. I think they were like 9-0 or something like that. It was the Washington Commanders of all teams that ended up breaking their winning streak. A division rival who was underperforming.
Right. And that's what a lot of people are saying. It's not like really 100% based on their performance. It's more of the situation,
Right.
you know? And honestly, if, let's say, if the Chiefs decide to throw the game or the refs don't help them out anymore, this is the best game for them to lose. Because what chances does Denver actually have being in the playoffs?
Yeah.
So, if they're going to lose, this would be a fine game that wouldn't hurt them in the playoff picture or a playoff scenario. So, plus,
How interesting.
Their last game was, if anything, it showed you they're really not that dominant. And if it weren't for like 3 calls, they would have lost, which were horrendous calls and no calls as well. I just feel like, and then it's funny because like I think just like you guys are and everyone else is, they're catching on that the Chiefs are a pitiful excuse for an undefeated team.
True. Although
That's
it kind of reminds me of the Steelers in 2021, that all of us were like, why are they undefeated?
Right. Yeah. So I think this game, obviously, yes, the heavy favorite is the Chiefs to win, but just situation and the complete underdog story, Bo Nix could turn into Tom Brady and they'll win, you know? like that's what I'm kind of leaning for, just to have just that, just to kind of save us the dragging on for the rest of the season. Just, you know, end it. Plus, if you look at, you know, numbers wise, Bo Nix is throwing better than Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, a lot of people are throwing better than
Yeah,
Patrick
a lot.
Mahomes.
So, if it's a quarterback battle, it all comes down to obviously the weapons and their ability to catch the ball and make plays. So, and obviously, Chiefs do have a better individuals for that, but I just can't publicly say that I want the Chiefs to win, so I'm just going to say the Broncos are going to win. But I will point out I did have the Bucks winning in our Pick'em league, and that almost came to fruition, and I was really upset because it would have been awesome because I was like the only one that picked them. So I'll be the only one picking the Broncos this week as well.
I gotta say, the Bucks leading that final drive is what saved me in fantasy, though. I have Baker in 3 leads, and I was down by like 5 points in almost every single one of them. And that final drive that led to a throwing touchdown saved my butt in all of those leagues.
Love when that happens. Love it.
That's awesome. Oh man. Good stuff.
So remind
Yeah,
me, what was our for the fun? Or sorry, we probably need to make picks too.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was gonna say, we
jumping
really
ahead
take-
here.
No, you're good. I get it. That makes sense. Yeah, I'll go first. I still feel like I'm just gonna go for the Chiefs here. I don't like it, but I am gonna pick the Chiefs to win this.
I'm gonna say the Broncos.
All right.
I feel like division rivalries can always go either way, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna split up the podcast here, and I'm gonna stick with the Chiefs as well.
Okay.
Especially after their performance last week. I think they're too inconsistent of a team for me to put my faith in. Or my bet.
Yeah. I will say the percentage right now in Vegas is so close to 28.3.
Wow.
I'm just saying. It's
Wow.
so close.
The
If it
low.
does
Let's
do
see.
that,
I want to see this. Where's it at?
I'm putting money on the game.
Put $28 on the game.
Yep, $28.30.
It should be 3 cents, not 30 cents. Come on. Come on.
Okay,
yeah,
true.
you're giving the
Point
Patriots too
zero-
much credit.
Yeah. That was just the end of the game score, right?
Totally. Oh,
Oh,
man.
man. Yeah.
Matt, have you ever heard of 1-800-GAMBLER?
No.
That, I think you should just call it sometime. It might be good for you. I hear that 1-800-GAMBLER is just a great number for people to call sometimes and just kind of talk. It's a place for like-minded people to share their feelings. So maybe it'll be good for you.
But I don't gamble.
Concept.
Oh,
don't
well,
way too
sorry.
emotional.
You got so excited there. I was confused.
No, it would have been more of like a fate type thing. It was just like the the lines align. It's like, oh hey, the team I want to win is 28.03% to win. Let's do this.
That's great.
Yeah. No, I.
Hey,
I
We're
couldn't
divided on
gamble.
this game.
Oh man. All right. Moving forward here, at least with the last little bit here for the fun. So for this, we want to talk about the coaching candidates here, and obviously the reason we want to talk about that is obviously we had another one bite the dust just now. Dennis Allen, coach of the Saints, got fired. Hey, mind you guys, this is the second time where Dennis Allen has been the head coach for Derek Carr, gotten fired while Derek Carr was on the team.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Derek Carr,
yeah.
the quarterback killer or the coach killer.
Yeah.
Can't be a coincidence.
Not at all.
He's a 007 for coaches.
I love
Is that because he's had 7 in his career?
Gosh.
Maybe. So anyway, going here with the coaching candidates, what we always want to talk, we do this segment every year in the past where we talk about the coach's hot seat as far as coaches who we can talk about right now where either their seat is warm, in which a situation of, hey, if things do continue to go downhill, they could potentially get fired. We've got coaches who could be on the hot seat where it's like, yeah, it's getting pretty warm and there's a good chance that, if it does continue to go downhill, they will be dismissed at the end of the season. You got coaches who are then their seat is very hot. They might even get dismissed from their team before the season even ends. And then, of course, you have our two coaches who already have been fired, in Robert Saleh and Dennis Allen. So we know those two are obvious here. They've already been canned. But I want to talk about a couple of other coaching candidates here as far as we can discuss. Are they truly on the hot seat? Is their seat warm? Or do we think that they're fine? Sound good?
I love it.
So the first one I want to talk about here is Mike McDaniel, coach of the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have not had the season that they wanted to, but what does that mean for McDaniel's job?
I think he's fine.
Yeah, I think he's okay because they probably understand that there's been a lot of different injuries that are
Tua
kind of like
almost
outside his
died.
control. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he's okay. Plus, they're not having like a terrible season. It's not like they're like 1-2 or 1-8 or whatever it is
I
right
would
now.
go back to 1 and
Right.
2. I'll take 1 and 2.
So I think he needs to improve. I feel like this season he has to do something or he'll be in that hot seat.
Yeah, I think they'd be a little silly at this point to let him go. I don't think he's shown that he's the problem. If they're just trying to just appease people and just be like, "Hey, we're making changes," they might just let him go. I don't see that happening. I think he's a fairly popular coach for the Dolphins. They haven't. I think people had high hopes for their season, but I don't think it was some sort of stark. Well, shoot, the team just got blown up. What are we gonna do? Fire the coach. So I imagine he keeps his job. If they have another season like this, maybe halfway through we might see some changes, but I don't think we're there yet.
Okay, well, the next one up on the list is Kyle Shanahan, 49ers. This one, it's a little tricky just because, again, you could technically say it's just because of injuries, but you also could make it an alternative argument.
I think when
Yeah.
your best player is down for more than half the season, I think you just gotta chalk it up to injury got the best of us.
Yeah.
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 The struggle
I-
is
yeah.
can your team ride and die with one player?
Are
You
you
know,
sure that
if you've
that
got
offense even
one
runs
big
through
injury.
CMC? I feel like you can.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Christian McCaffrey is a fantastic running back and definitely a big part of their success. But the 49ers weren't bad even before they got Christian McCaffrey. They were still doing pretty good under
I just
Siri.
feel, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just feel like he brings that confidence and that aura with him that just elevates everyone around him. They're like, oh, we got Christian back. Okay, thank goodness. And
Yeah.
it just alleviates pressure on everyone else. And the fact that he's a dual threat running back really helps that whole situation.
For
It's
sure.
like, hey, he
Right.
can run or they can throw it to him. So then it's like, oh crap, now we have to put a guy on him if he goes out. And it just messes up, I think,
Your game
the
plan.
scheme. Yeah. So I don't think it's Kyle Shanahan's fault. It's just their situation. Injuries, and they just can't catch a break. They can't stay perfectly healthy.
So we would definitely say it's just chalk it up to kind of like a Super Bowl hangover season. It's not enough to get Shanahan
Right.
fired.
Yeah, no.
So let me ask you this: who would go first, Shanahan or Purdy?
Shanahan,
Shanahan.
100%.
Yeah.
I think Brock Purdy does what he's told and tries his best. And that's rare
But-
quarterback.
Right. But does he have the talent to back up that effort?
I
Yes
think
and
he
no?
does. I think he needs to have someone help him with his late game emotion.
Yeah, 'cause he tries to be a hero.
Yeah. Just, he needs someone that can sit him down and just be like, no, you need to control your emotions, lock in, and do the game.
Brady, one
Don't
of the
try to
greatest
push
quarterbacks of
anything.
all time, was very much of a patient player and just taking the easy pass option.
Right. I try to avoid it as much as possible, but I appreciate you bringing it up. I try not to be biased as much as I can.
That's
but...
one of the few praises that I have for Brady, but it's also a diss because he very much took the check down pass and made the smart, easy play rather
Right.
than playing the hero ball.
Right, and it was efficient, and it got the job done.
It got the
I was
rings.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not pretty.
Wore out
but-
defenses.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And he spread it out enough, especially since he had all the talent, that he developed over all the years. Like, it just made it a nightmare. Especially when it's kind of like that last minute drive where they're just go, 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 go. And I think if Brock Purdy can kind of understand that, I feel like he would be a solid back from here on.
Yeah.
Plus, honestly, I'm interested in to see what kind of contract he accepts or expects. So
Yeah, and I maybe a part of that too is just like what could it turn into here at the end of this season?
right, if he's the type of guy, not going off on a tangent here, but if he's the type of like Brady that's willing to take a less of a paycheck just to
Mhm.
have weapons around him, the Niners will be dominant next season. As long as they can get the right pieces,
Yes. And the money is a question for them too at that point too.
Yeah.
As far as can they get the right pieces as far as
Theirs isn't that bad since they got rid of Chase Young.
Yeah, but they still Debo is going to be expensive. Now they have Ayuk who's all hurt too.
Yeah,
It's very
Right.
expensive.
yeah.
All right, let's beat up some of these coaches.
Yep. Zach
Yep.
Taylor's the next one, right? Or no,
We
sorry.
got Jonathan. We
Gannon.
also have Jonathan Gannon from the Cardinals, which at this
Yeah.
point I think he's probably okay.
He's fine.
He's
yeah,
safe for now.
Yeah, he's growing. Yeah, he's fine.
Now
We're
to the
figuring it
hot
out.
category.
Hot seat. Yep.
Yeah.
Zach Taylor is what we got here. I think
what-
he's definitely on the hot seat.
I think they would can him obviously before they would can Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah.
Right. I think if he can't step up and be the leader, the head coach of the team, and get everyone's kind of attitudes in check, he'll definitely go, and they'll find someone.
I'll give credit where credit is due. It is hard to continue your success after you lose most of your offensive weapons in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely doesn't make his situation super easy, but we're thinking it's hot. If it doesn't improve, he could get dismissed at the end of the season.
Yeah.
What about Nick Sirianni for the Eagles?
That's a fun
I
one.
think he. It's hard to tell, but I think for right now, you could probably almost back him in between the hot and warm.
Yeah.
Like if they don't perform this year, oh, he's definitely on the seat. But like he's doing enough, or the team is doing enough to keep him there.
I mean, the Eagles are
Yeah.
So
6-2.
do you think?
You can't fight that too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with that fan
But
base,
should
like,
they be better?
expect a lot. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I was
they should be
gonna
better.
say.
Yeah. They should be better.
with
That's
the-
why I was saying if he doesn't improve.
Right.
Yeah.
So are they gonna be stuck with Sirianni until they get to a losing record? You know, because what if he is the problem? What if they're not able to progress? You know, they have arguably one of the best teams in the NFL, but they've lost to some key teams. At what point do you say, yeah, we have a winning record, but we don't have the winning record we should, and we think it's you?
I think the playoff will tell. If they exit the first round of the playoffs and they're gone, yeah.
That's what I was going to
he's-
suggest. Is if they
he's
lose the
toast.
first round, yeah.
Yeah, he's toast. With that team, if they lose the first round in like a matchup or playing against the whoever comes out of the wild card, yeah, you definitely need to get in.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right, and now we got Brian Dable for the Giants.
I blame Daniel Jones for this one, and nothing on there's
No, I don't
nothing
think
on
so.
the Giants team. I can't blame the coach on this one.
Yeah, I think Dable is probably still relatively safe.
the only thing I would blame him for is letting go of Saquon. But at the same time, Saquon didn't want to be there, so.
Well,
that
that's
wasn't
also
entirely
not on
his
him.
decision.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but, you know.
I'm sure he wanted Saquon there, but the GM was like,
Yeah.
nope, too expensive, and we just paid Daniel Jones, and he's probably like, why did
Yeah.
we pay Daniel Jones?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think with him, he could stay on the hot seat if he doesn't make better improvements in the player category.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these coaches, the expectations for the team is a lot of what plays into it. And I think people don't have a lot of expectations for the Giants. And so I don't think many people see him doing much. I think they see him as someone who's trying to build a team.
Mhm.
And so as long as it looks like he's trending up, I think he'll keep his job. But the second that he starts to stall out, I think we're going to see some changes.
Yeah.
I agree. How about
Which, of
Matt
course,
Nagy?
could lead us right into Eberflus.
Yeah, Matt. How about
Because
Matt
I think
Nagy?
he's in the same spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So-
say Eberflus actually is gone after this year because it seems to be like the Bears saying where they get a young rookie quarterback, they struggle,
Yep.
so then they fire the coach, and then they get a new coach brought in, and then the
Yep.
team continues to struggle, and then they get rid of the quarterback.
The
Yeah,
vicious
I would
cycle.
agree. I think he's gone at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which is
Try
funny
to-
because the Bears have played better than some of these other teams.
Right.
But I think much like the Eagles, they should be much better considering the team they have.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
No one can speak better to that than, our dear friend McKay, but
Yeah, yeah, and I would definitely say, with that considered, yeah, it's just it's not looking good here, and they're gonna want to find a scapegoat, and it's easy enough to do with a coach who really just has not had a good record with the Bears.
Right.
Okay. Look, I know this guy is a first-year head coach, but there has been a trend of first-year head coaches getting fired, and he's playing on a very terrible, or he's coaching for a very terrible team. And that's Dave Canales for the Panthers. What do
with
we
a
think?
terrible owner.
Yes.
I think unless the owner wants to change the target from him to his head coach,
He will.
yeah,
I'm like,
That's
Tepper's a
what it
piece
comes
of
down
garbage
to.
owner.
yeah, that's what it really comes down to is if he'll
Yeah.
make the excuse again of, oh, it's definitely the coach. He's not building the right team, and then gets him fired. So if he'll be lucky if he stays another year, but
I think
But
so.
could the benching of Bryce Young be the thing that saves him as coach? Because I think that
so.
was a ballsy move.
Yeah.
But I think most of the people, most of the fandom, most of those who watch the NFL and have an understanding of the NFL recognize how good of a move it was. Even though it was a riskier play, it was more ballsy. It was this
Yeah.
franchise quarterback that you're saying, "No, we're moving."
Right.
Could that be the thing that saves his job for at least another year?
I think it would save him just because it puts the fans in his corner. They're like, oh no, he made a good move for. He wasn't focusing on. So, I think he'll be all right, but definitely won't survive 2 years if it keeps up.
Agree.
Without a serious change.
Correct.
So we've got 3 more here left that we got to talk about. So we'll go through these really quick because we're thinking these ones are in real big trouble. We're gonna save the one that's at the
Yeah.
top here for the very last for certain reasons. So we're gonna start first off with Antonio Pierce for the Raiders.
I think it all comes down to, because I've been talking to a buddy of mine about this, it comes down to how much control Tom Brady is going to have. Because I could see him canning him and bringing in someone Tom Brady likes.
I
Maybe.
like Pierce because I feel like Pierce has a lot of the guys in the locker room that like him, and that
Right.
team, there's not really a high caliber player on there outside maybe Matt Crosby, but that offense is shaky.
Garbage.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've done nothing but give up players.
Devontae Adams, Derek
So they're loaded up
Carr.
for the next season, but the question is, do you think he would be able to draft well enough to get a good Raiders team on the field?
I think he deserves at least another year. He came in like halfway through last season. He's here this year. So give him one more year.
Yeah.
I agree with Shane. It feels like they've talked about it. They've said, "Hey, we're not going to win with Devontae Adams. We're not going to win with some of these other players that are just high dollar people. We got to restart. We not only have to have a good draft, but I think we mostly have to find our off season has to be fantastic. We've got to pick up some good players, make some good contracts. We've got the space, and I think that's the understanding they're going to have starting in 2025. So I expect him to stay and have a chance until at least midseason.
Do you think he's going to pull the card of bringing in Tom Brady to help him with decisions? Be an influence?
Would that violate how many of his contractual obligations?
I don't even know at this point.
Right, but like he's an owner.
But he's also a broadcaster.
Right. But do you think he would use his influence?
Yes.
You know,
I think he'd
get
be
better players. I think it'd be a good move for
silly
them.
not to.
Because be like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, I can learn under Tom Brady. Like, what quarterback wouldn't?
That's true.
You know, just having that presence or that, staffing or whatever. So I think if he stays, I think he needs to partner the way he should. And really focus on getting a solid quarterback.
I mean, let's be
Doesn't mean
honest.
he's
We
gone.
all know that we all know the draft is going to be Tom Brady calling the top pick from college football and saying, "Hey, I want you to come play for my team here in Las Vegas." And what college quarterback is going to be like, "No, Tom Brady, I don't want to come play for your team."
It's going to be Shadir Sanders.
It's going to be Arch Manning.
Yeah. Sophomore.
Oh, geez.
Mannings and
Oh,
Brady
they don't.
don't get along.
That's
That
true.
would be hilarious, though. I
That'd
will
be
say.
so funny.
Arch Manning, hello? Hey, this is Tom Brady. Nope. Pook.
No, it'll be even better. It'll be Peyton Manning that answers the phone. Like, Tom, go away. Like,
Yeah. Get out of
But
here.
in all seriousness,
that's actually what will happen. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, moving on
okay.
to the big boy.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he could be potentially gone at the end of the season. I think if
he's gonna be
Dak,
gone.
I think if Dak could stay healthy and they still went downhill, then he would be gone before the end of the season. But
Yeah.
I think just with that situation, he will be gone by the
Yeah.
end.
Because it'll purely show, like, even though Dak's not that good, it'll show how ineffective Mike McCarthy is
Yeah.
with like a backup. Because it's Trey Lance, isn't it?
It's
Or is it
Cooper
someone
Rush.
else?
They're taking
it's
Cooper Rush over Trey Lance.
Okay. Yeah, so I think this will show, and he's toast.
Yeah.
Like, even though Dak going down, getting hurt, and being out doesn't really help them at all, all it does is hurts his seat as head coach.
Right.
Plus, if we know Jerry Jones, like we know Jerry Jones, he's going to McCarthy and not him. So,
Yeah. Okay. And that brings us to our last one, Doug Peterson for the Jaguars.
Release
Bane?
me. Release me. Get rid of Balky, get rid of Doug, get rid of Press Taylor. The saddest thing is, I don't think Doug is necessarily a bad coach. I think he's a great play caller, but he loves Press Taylor so much, and Press Taylor, there's night and day difference when Doug is calling plays versus when Press Taylor calls plays. And I've seen Trevor Lawrence on the field multiple times get mad that the play is not coming out fast enough, and then the post-game interviews, I get very mad with Doug because he's like, oh yeah, we got this person and this person. He's like, Trevor kind of sucks though. Trevor should do better. And I'm like, don't insult our quarterback like that.
that's funny.
It's not funny. It's painful. But
No, that's why it's funny.
the top head coaching candidate, I don't know if any of you know this, is the Lions offensive play caller Ben Johnson. He said, hey, I would like to get a head coaching job, and I want to be a play calling head coach. And I'm like, ooh, please give me that.
And see, that was said last year too, and Ben Johnson decided to stay with the Lions.
Yeah,
the
but
I think the only
he's saying he wants to move now.
I think the only way that he would actually leave the Lions is if they win the Super Bowl.
I think the exact opposite. He would stay. Or if
Oh.
he was smart, it's two-sided coin. Leave while it's hot, but so I could see him leaving if it doesn't work out
See,
as well.
I think the Jazz would have a good landing spot for a lot of coaching candidates because they got a young, good quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who he has the best long ball percentage out of every player in the league. I think he has like double the amount of 20-plus yard throws than the Nets person. Got a good young quarterback, got a fairly young team, gonna have some early round picks. It's a good situation to go into.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely
there's
interesting.
still a lot of hypotheticals there. That's for sure.
Yep.
And Doug Peterson, by the way, because we didn't talk about where he's gonna be gone. He's not gonna be gone till the season is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think so? That's probably true. He probably would have already been gone by now.
Shad Khan has already said that like Balky and Peterson will basically be here till the end of the season.
Yeah.
It would take a miracle for them to be gone before then. I mean, heck, look at when we had Urban Meyer, who was literally not going back with the team and getting into off-the-field trouble, and it still took weeks to get rid of him.
True.
Yeah. Now here's a wild take. Just we're talking about the head coaching and candidates. So let's say let's go with either the Raiders or the Panthers head coach gets fired, and let's say they have one of the records. Could you see a scenario where Shadir Sanders goes where his dad will be the head coach?
Well, that'd be wild.
Ugh.
Like him
Probably not, though.
moving away from college and then goes to the NFL and then goes to the same team his son gets drafted to.
I mean, at that point, I feel like he would just be like, I need to step away from my dad for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's what he's going to do, regardless if that does happen, because I know people have been talking about it, seeing, Deion Sanders becoming a head coach in the NFL, but I feel like he wouldn't be a head coach on his son's team. Or at least I hope not.
Yeah.
Nor do
I
I
know.
think he has the talent to.
No.
I don't know. Why don't you ask LeBron? He's basically the coach for his son's team.
Jeez. We all know how that turned out.
All right, boys. I think that's it for
Alright,
tonight,
yeah.
though. We've gone a
We've
little
gone
over
way
time for the
over.
different conversations.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, with that does that for this week, and we will see moving forward here how some of these matchups go as we move forward, move further in the season. Maybe we'll see more head coaches go. Maybe we'll see more trades. Probably see more injuries. That's how it usually goes. And until then, till next week.
See y'all next week.
Have a good
Goodbye.
night.